Okay, so we're going to use the green grass twist. So this is the 3-ply twist. That's the one that I'm going to use for doing the leaves of the daffodil. Okay, I'm also going to use the translucent thread, the green one again. So this is the nice green one, and that goes really, really well with this because it's a translucent thread. It's invisible against a lot of different shades of green instead of just being invisible against one. So this is the thread that we tend to use all of the time now, and have done for the last 20 odd years. So I'm going to use this thread, and I've threaded it through the needle, as you can see there. Okay, so what I'm then going to do is I'm going to take the two ends of the thread. So we've got one end there, we've got the other end just here. So we've got the two ends. So these are my two ends, and I'm just going to put a knot in those two ends. Okay, so let me just take that off the screen so that I can do that. And then we've got the thread just here, and that's into a loop. So we're going to start with our green twist here, our grass green twist. Okay, this is a 3-ply twist. You can just see, I'll get it out of the packet. You can just see there, it's got 3 strands that make up the twist, and that's why it's called 3-ply twist. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle down just here. I'm going to do my leaf on the right first. Okay, so I'm just going to take that needle in. I'm going to plunge at the 2 strands. I'm just going to move this thread. So just to say that I think I showed you, but we've got a loop there, and then the thread just goes to a knot just here. Okay, so that it's one continuous piece of thread, and that the needle just dangles off just like that and doesn't come out. Okay, because the translucent thread, although it's an amazing thread to use, it does potentially sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of a few little strands that seem to have appeared. I don't know why. It does potentially come out of your needle if you are using it single, and that's why when we did all of this area here, I knotted it. So I'm just going to take that down through the fabric. Okay, now I do want to take 2 strands down, so just take the other strand as well. Okay, just poke that through there. So I'm using one of our plunging needles, which is actually a darner. You can see there it is a really big eyed needle. Now it's really important that these ones at the back here are secured off, okay, but obviously for demonstration purposes I'm just going to leave those for the time being. So I'm just going to get my wax here and my thread that I'm using, the translucent thread. I need to take this thread over that. Okay, so I'm going to do that off screen because otherwise you won't be able to get that through as easily. Okay, so I'll just do that, wax the thread, just do that a couple of times, and then we're just going to take these strands this way, okay, and they're going to come up this leaf. Okay, now all you need to do is just couch. So you're going to come up and over the strands. Just going to leave a gap here of about 1 strand, and then this one here, just got my needle in there. This one here, you'll have another 1 strand just there. Okay, so we're going to come up, and these stitches are about 3 millimeters apart. Okay, so this is a little more complicated than the last one. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that up. Okay, and then I'm going to put that back down just there. So these are about 3 to 4 millimeters apart, these stitches. Okay, and we're going to come along the curve of our leaf just here. Okay, so I'm just going to start bending it around here. Like that. So I'm going to bring that up and around just on our curve just there. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that nicely in place. And we're just going to come up and down over our thread, couching the green, the grass green twist down. Okay, so once you start to get to the top here, you'll then need to plunge, and you'll need to plunge them separately. So we're still carrying on with our couching. Now, because I haven't actually attached this at the back, if I pulled this really tight here, you would find that that would pop out. So that's why it is really important to secure your threads down at the back. I tend to do this as I go along. I don't tend to do it all at once. Obviously, for demonstration purposes here, I'll have to do them all at the end. Okay, so I'm really, really close to the end here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to snip that thread off, and I'm not going to leave a lot of thread, just that much, because you don't need to take a lot through to the back. Okay, I'm going to take each one of these down separately. So I'm going to take this first one down just a little bit past my stitch line just there. Okay, so we're just going to take that down through to the fabric, just poke that very end through, and then take that through and then pull it. Okay, and then the next one, okay, we're just going to bring down along this line just there. Okay, so it's a nice tapered twist line. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to pull that through. Okay, now you can see that that piece of tacking thread is poking out there. Now if I just tickle that a little bit at the back, it may take it back, but if it doesn't, you can always take that tacking thread out. Okay, so I'm just going to poke this over there like that. Okay, and then we've got, I think, just one more stitch towards the end there. Oops. Just yank that back down at the back. Okay, just you can see exactly, if you hold your thread just like that, you can see exactly where that needle needs to go down. Okay, so that's nice and tight there, and we've got this nice taper just here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our next piece just here. Okay, so we're just going to take that into the fabric just there. Okay, like that. Okay, and then I'm actually going to poke it down straight away up here. I prefer to have the ends through, and then what you have got to be careful of is that, like I said with the other, that you don't yank them through by accident. Okay, so that's that one. Now we'll start that next one. Can you see this line here? I can just see the tacking line just there, so I'm going to actually poke that one through the fabric just here. Okay, just the end, and then I'm going to leave that this time, and I'm going to wait until I get to the end and then see where that actually goes through. Okay, so we're going to come back down here, and we're actually doing a brick stitch. So brick stitch is in between, so you've got one stitch there and one stitch there. You need to go in between that stitch. Okay, just like that. The next one is going to go over the 2 stitches. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that up right at the side of here, like that, and then I'm going to go over the 2, like that. Okay, that pulls them nice and tightly towards that next row. Okay, so just like that, and I'm just going at a slight angle underneath that row, because what that then does, you'll see, is it just pulls that row nicely in so that you don't get any gaps. Okay, so I'm coming up at a slight angle here, but only slight. I'm going down at a slight angle there, and again, see the gap there now? When you pull that, it nicely pulls it tightly against that last row. Okay. So we're just doing this double row again now, and then when we get the next, after the next 2 stitches, so that's not that one, it's these 2 up here. Now be careful when you get to here, because these are moving over that way, and if you stitch to the side you could end up getting a big gap. Okay, so you might want to just move them to the side like that so you can see the width that your stitch needs to be, because your stitch just needs to be the width of the couched item. So I'm going to pull this one up now. Okay, like that. So that takes that in. I'm going to judge that, trim that off just there. Okay, and then we're going to take that down through to the back of the fabric. Now I'm looking at this line here, and I want it to be around about there, but it needs to go through the fabric. Okay, so I'm just going to take that through. Now if I was taking 2 threads through at the same time, I would potentially take that needle through once and then twice, because that creates the hole in advance and it makes it much easier. You'll see again these are moving over, but this time it's not easy for you to split that, so I'm just going to move those over slightly, take that up, and then again pull that down right against that last row. Okay, so it brings them really nice and tightly, and then I just need 1 stitch over this piece here. You need to make sure that that gets pulled at the back to make it nice and taut. Okay, so that's creating a really nice line just there. So just here, on this little area here, we just need to do one row because that just fills in that little area. So I'm just going to pop that through the needle and we're just going to do the one row. Just going to finish it off about there. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that off. And I'm going to poke that through the needle like that. And then we're just going to come up here. And as I said, you would normally secure all these ends off. I tend to secure them off as I go along. So I tend to flick over the frame and secure them at the back. But for demonstration purposes, I will do that at the end. So just there like that, and you've got that nice finish. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put some lines just here, and they're just going to come to the top of there, okay? And then we're going to put some little lines just down here, and then we're just going to fill in one line, which is our stem, to the end of our daffodil.